So to conclude our summit, I want to invite everyone to take a look into the future and invite us all to think about how can we build a better world for the next generation. And who better to share about this rather than the true next generation in this panel discussion called Scaling Out, Growing the Next Generation of Leaders. So we want to bring together highlights, reflections, and further questions that are coming up as a result of the sessions. And we also want to give platform for the next generation of young change makers to be heard. So joining me on this panel is NATASHA TANJUTCO, co-founder of Kids for Kids Philippines and Tayo. And next is ALVIAN WARDANA, Ashoka young change maker and founder of Literasi, Anak, Banua. REESE WONG, founder of ISSIA Hong Kong. NUKE, GUNARTO, Ashoka changemaker, outreach staff in docs. So yeah, if you can join me on this stage, please. Hello, hi REESE.
Hi, it's great to be here today. Amazing session.
Yay, hi. Can I have my team spotlight the rest so that they can join us on here? Thank you so much. Hi, NUKE. Thank you for joining me. Hi, ALVIAN.
Hi.
I think NATASHA is currently having some technical issues, so we'll move on. Yes. So team, can I have the music down, please? Thank you. So I briefly introduced you a little bit, but as you answer the questions, I would like you to also introduce yourself a little bit, where you are, what you are currently doing, and also what does your organization do, but briefly, okay? We don't have much time, so please introduce yourself briefly. And at the same time, please answer these questions like, you know, as all of you are young change makers, what stuck out for you from the discussions in this summit on the way that women lead, and in particular, the parallel sessions that you attend, if you can tell us which one, okay? And let's start with ALVIAN, please.
Hello everyone, so let me introduce myself first. My name is ALVIAN WARDANA and I'm founder of Literasi Anak Banua. So Literasi Anak Banua is a committee that help to improve the quality of education, especially in remote area, by giving free tutorial and also build a library in 17th remote area of South Kalimantan. So I have been listening for the journey and the summit that have been implementation today, and it's really interesting to hear about all the women leader that leads some organization and also social entrepreneur. So with the parallel session that I have been impact is capacity building session, and also and there's 3 points that is a little bit stuck in my head. So 3 points is stigma, the second one is patriarchy reward, and the third or the last one is the rethinking our idea and build a sustainable impact. The things that stuck in me, but in the context of education and how did a woman is better like to become a leader, especially as a woman. And there's a lack of understanding and also stigmatization that women can't do anything. So and all the things about women's stigmatization are happening until right now. And the second one is one of the uncomfortable reality of being female leader is walking into a business meeting or society and realizing that you are the only one of few women in the room among your counterpart. And this gives a pressure mark for women to lead, especially in such entrepreneur. And it was mentioned that sometimes in solving such a problem, we need to take one step back to see how the problem is solved and not to rush to look ahead. Not only that, we also need to think about being able to build existing capacity building, especially to adapt it to that existing change. Take a baby step to build your capacity starting today and try to apply design thinking as human-centered problem-solving method to understand your challenge or problem deeply. Such entrepreneurship is not only the only answer, especially in this participation, but we need to make a collaboration with community and stakeholders. So we need a mindset to ensure the social change. Maybe that's all from me.
Thank you so much, Alvian, for sharing. And it's very nice to hear from, the male perspective as well. I think it's important, as mentioned in the session before, that, to create this transformative change, it's not only about women, it's not only about men, it's everyone in the gender spectrum to join in on this fight to create gender equality. So next, NUKE, may I invite you to share which session you attend, or what are the things that stood out for you throughout the summit?
Hi, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for having me. And also thank you so much for attending this session. I mean, I'm very blessed to talk about this since I'm a woman, and this is what I really want to say to you all. And I'm attending the session. It is called Care, and we talk about well-being. And I'm really happy because nowadays, like people, as always, society always expect people to want to be something that they are not, and it comes to women also. When it comes to society, they expect women to be a perfect creature that can do almost everything in the world. Like you should go to work, you should go to school, and you should also take care of your kids and also your husband and also your parents, and you should not be tired of it. Like you are expected to be strong also. So what I need you to know is when it comes to this session, I really want you to know that it's okay to take your time and maintain your priorities. And for me, as I am a young change maker also, my mother is also a change maker. Like she helps me to achieve everything in life. And from her perspective, I think it will be okay if we want to be take any equality for women, but women and men, and also want to make a change making for everyone. I think it's okay to open up and talk to people and also talk to the parents. And I also believe that family comes first. So when you want to make any change making, you should talk it to your family first. And also with women, because women have so many responsibilities, so it's okay to talk about your family first, about what you're gonna do, and let other family members know what you are going to do. Because when you talk to people, especially your family, maybe they will help you to achieve everything that you want. Because sometimes it is hard because you take it by yourself. So yeah, maybe that's for me. And yeah, thank you. Maybe it's all from me, and you can continue with.
Yes, I think that's very nice about taking time for yourself, and literally it's okay to not be okay sometimes. I think that's something that we often need to remind ourselves. NUKE, I think you forgot to introduce yourself and your organization a little bit. Can you tell us what you do, please, so that others know about your work? What are you contributing to the community?
Okay, so hi again. My name is NUKE and I come from Indonesia. Currently, I'm working at Indocs at Outreach staff, and also I'm a part of Ashoka Young Changemaker 2021. And my social project name is NUKE Talks, where we help other young people to know about jobs application and how to help them to find the best suitable, like the work, and also how to help them to find a perfect style of learning and education and self-development things. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Thank you so much. And a note to everyone on the panel, including myself, I got a little note saying that, so we have an interpretation function. So if we can all help them by speaking slower, that would be great, because, they're doing their job in supporting us so that we make sure that our Bahasa speakers can understand what we're speaking. So let's help them and speak slower. That's a note to myself as well. So thank you so much, everyone. Okay, so let's move on to you, REESE. Please introduce yourself briefly and tell us what stuck out for you from the discussions in the summit.
All right, thank you so much for having me here today. So my name is REESE and I'm from Hong Kong. So I'm the founder of ISSIA HK, and what we do is cultivate global citizenship and also empower change makers through peer-to-peer and project-based learning. So since 2019, we've involved over 300 students across 70 schools here in Hong Kong and the Asia Pacific. And we've launched 30 plus projects covering everything from LGBTQ plus rights, mental health, gender equality, and more. So I'm really passionate about quality education, but also partnership for the goals. Lastly, I also work at Ashoka. I was actually a partnership development intern, but now I'm doing youth years work in terms of managing content, just empowering more young people through storytelling. So one of the things that stuck out for me today was I attended the session on deepening and all about partnerships. And that's something I'm really passionate about. And the goal with that session was to talk about how can we have more integrated partnerships to accelerate the closure of this gender gap and to really champion gender equity. And I think the key takeaway was we need deeper connections, we need multi-stakeholder partnerships, and we also need to be more innovative in terms of how we conduct these partnerships. And one new term that I learned about is this idea of a gender transformative approaches, which means that, you know, it's not just targeting basic aspects of gender equality, but it looks at different aspects from challenging the gender norms to changing how we approach gender equity in language, to looking at sort of inequities in power. So that was really interesting for me. And so one of the first things that was talked about was this idea that there needs to be shared concepts and this sort of commonality in the words, in the language that we use. And that would help sort of the people involved identify where the interventions and the solutions are gender transformative. And there's this idea that, you know, women are not homogenous, right? There's all these facets of and intersections of identity that have to be accounted for. And so there has to be, again, this multi-stakeholder approach where all the interventions and actions we're taking are also considered from the lens of religion, sexual orientation, and all of these sort of intersectional approaches. And then another approach is, again, back to this idea, when you have these partnerships, there should be aligned values. And these values should be towards justice and transformation. So a lot of times partnerships are revolved around quality, but now we should be moving towards this idea of justice and towards partnerships that are truly sustainable. So at the end of the day, it's about raising the game. It's to create exponential impact. We need to search for organizations that are doing similar work, connect these sort of deeper links, and that even if organizations may not have the same perspectives, analysis, or strategy, there can still be linkages that can be found for having panels and conversations like these today, and having more of these shared spaces, because at the end of the day, gender equity is always going to be a multi-generational process, and there has to be deeper exploration moving towards systems change. So yeah, that was some of my key learnings.
That is such a powerful sharing, Reese. So share language, share visions, you know, and yeah, it is a long game. So it's multi-generational for sure. So thank you for sharing. That's a great synthesis. So Tasha is having a little video problem, but I think she can join us on audio and we cannot spotlight her. Tasha, if I can invite you to quickly introduce yourself and also share about what stuck out for you from the sessions that you attended. Can you hear me, Tasha? Yes, I think Tasha is having a little connectivity issues. Yeah, but she has been, you know, very active in joining us despite all the technical difficulties. It's fine, Tasha. I know you're here with us. You can also type in the chat and tell us what you think, okay? Yes, because I cannot really hear you, but I can sense that your energy is bursting out. Okay. I'll move on to the next questions then. And Tasha, if you can join me.
Hi, can you hear me?
It's very robotic, Tasha. Your voice is stretched out. It's okay.
Hello.
You can work on the signal for now. If it works, you can just shout my name and I'll be directly at you, okay? So now let's move on to the next question. So to close our summit, I think, you know, we want to obviously make a little call to actions. And I think from what I heard, all of you spoke, you know, about, you know, amplifying, about strengthening, about deepening, about care. There are so many things that we need to learn together and also unlearn together. So my last questions to you, you know, as young change makers, what is a call to action that you have, particularly for all the people in the summit, on how we might help enable women leaders to continue building an everyone a change maker world. And let's start with REESE this time.
Awesome. So yeah, I think there are a lot of key takeaways, but my call to action is that young people are the future. And of course, they're already the change makers of today. And I think my call to action just for fellow change makers is that we should be empowering young people to pioneer this change and create these spaces. And I think it's common knowledge now that Gen Z, as a generation, are more socially conscious as ever before. And they have the pivotal role to play in creating these new systems and driving, therefore, this mindset shift. So I think at the end of the day, we need to make sure that young people have the resources to build these communities and work towards gender transformative approaches. But secondly, one also a big call to action is that all men and boys have a role to play in this systems change as well. And I think one really important aspect is that, women shouldn't be doing the work for men. Men should be doing the work, and we feel empowered to create the change for a gender equitable world. So at the end of the day, it's about, we have to, as men, combat these narratives about, hegemonic masculinity. We shouldn't be, we should break free from these structures where we are told, what it is to be a man, what it means to, be masculine. And I think there needs to be a lot of work just within men and these communities to say, hey, we can be different and we can work towards this space for change. And another takeaway actually from the deepen session that was really interesting is this idea of women working with men and having these shared spaces, which are actually very powerful towards changing minds and creating systems change. So I think my call to action is, one, young change makers, we need to step up in terms of pioneering and driving systems change. Secondly, to all boys and men, we also have a pivotal role to play in co-creating a more gender equitable world. Thank you so much.
That is beautifully put, REESE. Thank you so much. And definitely, step up, pioneering the work. It is your time. It is our time, not only everyone's time. We need to work together. And I particularly like what you said about everyone needs to do the work. It's not only men, it's not only women, it's everyone, because it's the structure that holding all of us back. It's not just one in particular, it's a structure that holds everyone back. So really, if we want to create an equitable world, everyone needs to do the work. Okay, NUKE, can I move on to you, please?
Hi, again. Come with me. So yeah, I think when it comes to call to action, I think we need to educate more people about this, since not everybody knows about the change making. Like, what did they do? Like, there are so many strangers, so many society kind of people that they don't know what is change maker, what is change making, and we should know how to educate them first. And the second of all, I think we need to provide them, resources. I mean, people, or maybe we can provide something that can help them to get to know us better, so we can talk to them or even communicate to a better or maybe a larger community, not only from our view as changemaker already, but also with people who doesn't know anything about this. And also we can talk about women also about how to be a changemaker when they have so many responsibilities to do. So we show them how to, not only tell them about let's be a change maker, let's be a part of us, but also how to do it and how to maintain their time and also their energy. Since I came from care session, so I really care about our well-being and also mental health. And I think it's not okay to if we force them to be a part of us, since they don't know how to do it, and maybe they have so many things to do. So it is our job also, and everybody, to educate each other and make this world as a safe place for both women and men to make change maker things. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I totally agree about change making. I think, there needs to be a collective awareness of what change making is, what change maker does. Because in the end, if we're about to advocate that everyone can be a change maker, they need to understand, how and they can play a role in this. And definitely, I'm also very passionate about well-being and mental health. I think it's very important for us to be a whole being, whole human, to function and continue to contribute to our society. And yeah, Alvian, over to you. What's the call to action that you would like to propose?
All right. So first of all, we need to let's together instill the idea that women also have the same ability and right in the leading, and therefore we must believe and revoice the woman's right first, especially in fighting injustice against women in leading. So that with this step, it is hoped that many people will realize that women can change the world too, not only for the men. On the other hand, I also believe with REESE WONG that talk about collaboration and partnership. So I have a great call to action, especially collaboration for everyone change-making movement. So we can have more women and men, everyone to connect and collaborate with various sectors, from the private sector, NGO, and the government to work together to create more space for change, so collaboration. But one thing that we need to remember is that not about how the bigger impact that we made, but about the starting the first step. And today, it's the time for us to create more space for change by voicing the right woman to lead and voicing the collaboration. Because in the end, it's not about the big impact that we made, but about the first initial step that we made for making bigger impact. Maybe that's all from me.
And wow, that's an ending on a very powerful note, and sometimes it's the scariest thing that we have to do, which is taking that first step, taking the first step that make us embrace all the risks, all the journey, all the ups and the downs that might come in the future. But hopefully, in the future, it's the impact that we're going to continue to create, big or small. It's a step by step. Thank you so much, REESE, NUKE, ALVIAN, and also to Tasha. Unfortunately, her signal is not very good, but yes, it's very nice to have all the young change makers here with me today and closing this panel on the outlook into the future. So if I can get a big round of virtual applause to our young change makers, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us here today. Thank you so much. Okay, so yeah, with that, we'll come to the end of our summit. So we hope you'll join us in our efforts to view movements and create the future that is more compassionate, equitable, and inclusive. We dream of a world where people are empowered to pursue their liberation, free from oppression of archaic norms and approaches that fail to meaningfully challenge and change systems that keep the marginalized, especially women, from rising up. To conclude our summit, I would like to share with you another quote. So, change makers are already working to move mindset and chip away from patriarchal structures that underlies many of the deep-rooted problems. To shift gender roles on global scale, everyone has a critical role to play. So my question and a call to action to you all, what role will you play to shift the current gender norm? I'll type them in the chat as well. So a question to you, and you feel free to share that in the chat. What role will you play to shift the current gender norm? And you can continue to give me the answer while we wrap up the summit. So Ashoka Southeast Asia, together with our co-leaders, S&P Global Foundation and Deutsche Bank, we are committed to keep rethinking the ways we catalyze system change through a transformative gender lens. We have been learning a lot from the past 2 years of advancing women social entrepreneurs in ASEAN. And in 2022, we are hoping to further look into, 1, innovating on our capacity building programs to focus on 3 urgent needs of women in co-leadership with ecosystem partner. So 1 is on care, a well-being journey that is customized for women leaders who have multiple burdens. 2, impact, a social innovation mentoring program. And 3, amplify, a storytelling learning experience focused on helping women craft compelling narratives. And the second part that we want to focus in 2022 is innovating on our support for investable women social entrepreneurs with clear strategies for scaling deep, out, and up by giving them the platform to connect with global ecosystem partners. We hope this event has left you inspired with new thoughts and perspectives, and also renew motivation for actions to work towards more gender transformative, equitable, and inclusive futures. So we call on you to partner, co-lead, collaborate with us on different aspects of the work, bring forward more women activators who are keen to bring about systemic change and build a movement of change making with us. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to our co-leaders, S&P Global Foundation and Deutsche Bank. Thank you to our community partners, Puma Podcast, University of Philippines, Center for Women and Gender Studies, Institute for Social Entrepreneurship in Asia, Binil Hi-Fi, Philippine Development Foundation, Negros, Women for Tomorrow Foundation, and Kubo Innovation Hub. And with that, thank you to all participants and see you next time.